A 5-year-old girl refuses to sit down at school. The teacher lifts her skirt, falls to her knees crying, and calls 911. Before we dive into this incredible story of hope and courage, drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from our amazing viewers around the world. Now let's begin this unforgettable journey together. The morning sun streamed through the tall windows of Oakwood Elementary School as children's laughter echoed down the hallways. It was supposed to be just another ordinary Tuesday in this small American town, but sometimes the most extraordinary stories begin on the most ordinary days. Mrs. Margaret Coggins, a veteran teacher with silver hair and kind eyes, was arranging colorful books on her classroom shelf when she heard it, a soft whimpering coming from the corner of the room. She turned to see 5-year-old Lily Rosewood, crouched beneath her tiny desk, her small hands pressed against her stomach. "Lily, sweetheart, what's wrong?" Mrs. Coggins asked gently, kneeling down to the child's level. The little girl's blonde curls were tangled, and her clothes looked like they hadn't been changed in days. "It hurts," Lily whispered, her blue eyes filled with tears. "It hurts so much, Mrs. Coggins." This wasn't the first time. For 3 weeks now, Lily had refused to sit in her chair, claiming mysterious pains. The other teachers thought it was separation anxiety, a common issue for kindergarteners. But Mrs. Coggins, with 35 years of teaching experience, sensed something deeper was troubling this precious child. "Can you tell me where it hurts, honey?" she asked softly. Lily shook her head frantically. "I can't tell. It's a secret. Grandma says some secrets have to stay secrets." Mrs. Coggins felt a chill run down her spine. What kind of secret would a 5-year-old need to keep, and why would her grandmother tell her such a thing? As the other children filed into the classroom, chattering about their morning adventures, Lily remained hidden under her desk. Mrs. Coggins noticed how the little girl flinched whenever anyone came too close, how she wrapped her arms protectively around herself. "Lily, let's get you to the nurse," Mrs. Coggins suggested, extending her hand. But as Lily tried to stand up, something happened that would change everything. Her little legs buckled beneath her and she collapsed onto the classroom floor, unconscious. The room fell silent. Mrs. Coggins rushed to Lily's side, her heart pounding. As she gently lifted the child's head, she noticed something that made her blood run cold. Lily's skin was unusually pale, and there was a strange, unpleasant odor that she couldn't quite identify. "Emma, run and get the nurse immediately," Mrs. Coggins called to Lily's classmate, her voice tight with worry. As she waited for help to arrive, Mrs. Coggins held Lily's small hand and whispered, "Whatever secret you're carrying, sweet girl, you don't have to carry it alone anymore." But little did she know that uncovering Lily's secret would reveal a truth so heartbreaking, yet so filled with hope, that it would transform not just one little girl's life, but an entire community's understanding of what it means to truly care for one another. What was Lily hiding? And why was a grandmother telling her 5-year-old granddaughter to keep dangerous secrets? The answers would soon shake everyone to their core. The ambulance sirens faded into the distance as Mrs. Coggins stood in the empty classroom, her mind racing with questions about little Lily. She walked to her desk and pulled out the enrollment file she rarely needed to consult, the Rosewood family folder. 3 months ago, things had been so different. She remembered that first day clearly. A frail, elderly woman with gentle eyes had walked hand in hand with a shy but smiling little girl. The woman had introduced herself as Martha Rosewood, Lily's grandmother. "I'm sorry we're a bit late," Martha had said, slightly out of breath. "We had to take 2 buses to get here." Mrs. Coggins recalled how Lily had worn a pretty yellow dress that day, her blonde hair neatly braided with matching ribbons. The little girl had clutched a worn stuffed rabbit and peeked shyly from behind her grandmother's long skirt. "Lily lives with me now," Martha had explained quietly, filling out the paperwork with shaking hands. "Her daddy, my son Jackson, he made some mistakes and has to be away for a while. And her mama, Sarah, she—" Martha's voice trailed off and she simply wrote "unknown" in the mother's contact section. Mrs. Coggins remembered feeling touched by how protective Martha seemed of Lily. The grandmother had knelt down, smoothed the child's hair, and whispered, "Remember what? We talked about, Sweet Pea. Some family things are private, okay? Just between us." At the time, it seemed like natural privacy. Every family had their struggles. But now, as Mrs. Coggins recalled that conversation, those words took on a more troubling meaning. Over the following weeks, she had watched Lily slowly change. The neat braids became tangles. The pretty dresses were replaced by the same clothes worn day after day. The shy smile disappeared, replaced by worried glances and frequent trips to hide under her desk. Mrs. Coggins had tried calling the home number several times, but it was often busy or went unanswered. When Martha did come to pick up Lily, she seemed increasingly confused, sometimes forgetting which classroom to go to or asking the same questions multiple times. The phone rang, interrupting her thoughts. It was Nurse Peterson calling from Mercy General Hospital. "Mrs. Coggins, Lily is stable now. It appears to be dehydration and low blood sugar, but..." The nurse paused. "There are some concerning signs. The little girl seems very anxious about basic medical care, and her grandmother is here but appears quite disoriented." "Disoriented how?" Mrs. Coggins asked, gripping the phone tightly. "She keeps asking what year it is and seems confused about why Lily is in the hospital. She mentioned something about forgetting to pack lunch for several days, but then couldn't remember if Lily had eaten breakfast this morning." Mrs. Coggins felt her heart sink. "Is Lily asking for anything?" "That's the strangest part," Nurse Peterson said softly. "She keeps saying she doesn't want to go home yet because her tummy still hurts, but she won't let us examine her properly. She says it's against the rules to let grown-ups look at her tummy." "Rules? What kind of... what? Rules would prevent a child from receiving medical care?" "Mrs. Coggins," the nurse continued, "I think there might be more going on here than we initially thought. The grandmother seems loving, but not quite capable of caring for a 5-year-old. And Lily, she acts like she's been taking care of herself for quite some time." As Mrs. Coggins hung up the phone, she stared out the window at the playground where Lily should have been playing with her friends. Instead, this precious child was in a hospital, carrying secrets that no kindergartner should ever have to bear. What exactly was happening in the Rosewood home? And why was Lily so terrified of letting anyone help her? The answers, Mrs. Coggins realized, might be more heartbreaking than she ever imagined. Mrs. Coggins couldn't concentrate on her afternoon lessons. Her mind kept drifting to Lily, alone in that hospital room. As soon as the final bell rang, she grabbed her purse and headed straight to Mercy General. The pediatric ward felt too quiet as she walked down the polished hallway. Through the window of room 204, she could see Lily sitting on the edge of the hospital bed, still wearing her wrinkled school-y clothes, staring at her hands. "Hi there, sweetheart," Mrs. Coggins said softly as she entered the room. Lily's face lit up for the first time in weeks. "Mrs. Coggins, you came to see me." "Of course I did. How are you feeling, honey?" "Better, I think. The nice nurse lady gave me crackers and..." "Juice?" Lily paused, then whispered, "But I'm scared they're going to find out about my special secret." Mrs. Coggins sat carefully on the chair beside the bed. "Lily, what kind of special secret?" The little girl looked around nervously, then leaned closer. "Promise you won't tell? Grandma says people know about my secret. They might take me away like they took Mama away." A chill ran down Mrs. Coggins' spine. "Sweetie, your Mama wasn't taken away. Sometimes adults have to leave for different reasons." "No," Lily interrupted, shaking her head firmly. "Grandma told me. She said Mama couldn't take care of her special problems, so the grown-ups made her go away. And if I can't take care of mine..." Lily's voice became barely a whisper. "They'll make me go away too." Before Mrs. Coggins could respond, the door opened and Martha shuffled in, looking confused and disheveled. Her gray hair was uncombed, and she was wearing house slippers with her coat. "Lily, why are you in this strange place?" Martha asked, seeming genuinely puzzled. "Grandma, remember? I got sick at school," Lily said gently, like she was talking to another child. Martha blinked several times. "School, but... what day is it?" Mrs. Coggins watched in alarm as Lily slipped off the bed and took her grandmother's hand. "It's Tuesday, Grandma. We talked about this, remember? Sometimes your brain gets tired and forgets things." "Oh, yes," Martha said, but she still looked lost. "I came to... Why did I come here?" "To see me, Grandma, because I was sick." Nurse Peterson appeared in the doorway and gestured for Mrs. Coggins to step into the hallway. "I'm worried," the nurse said quietly. "The grandmother has asked me the same questions 5 times in the past hour, and there's something else." "What?" "Lily keeps asking if she can clean herself up before going home. When I offered to help her wash her hands and face, she became very upset and said she has to do it herself because that's the rule. What 5-year-old has rules about basic hygiene?" Mrs. Coggins peered back into the room, where Lily was patiently explaining to Martha who the doctors were and why they were there. It broke her heart to see such a young child taking care of an adult. "There's more," Nurse Peterson continued. "Her clothes, they have an unusual odor, and when I suggested we get her some clean hospital..." "Clothes," she panicked. "She said she can't change clothes because then people would see her mistakes." "Mistakes?" She wouldn't explain what she meant. "But Mrs. Coggins..." The nurse paused, choosing her words carefully. "I've been a pediatric nurse for 15 years. Something isn't right here. This child is carrying a burden that's way too heavy for someone her age." As they spoke, they could hear Lily's gentle voice from the room. "Don't worry, Grandma. I'll take care of everything when we get home. I always do." Mrs. Coggins felt tears forming in her eyes. What kind of everything was this little girl taking care of? And what were these mysterious mistakes she was so desperate to hide? One thing was becoming crystal clear. Lily Rosewood wasn't just a shy kindergartner with separation anxiety. She was a little girl drowning in secrets that were far too big for her tiny shoulders to carry. But what exactly was she hiding? And how long had she been carrying this burden all alone? The next morning, Mrs. Coggins couldn't shake her worry about Lily. The hospital had discharged her the previous evening, but something deep in the teacher's gut told her this wasn't over. During her lunch break, she made a decision that would change everything. She drove through the winding roads of Oakwood's outskirts until she found the address from Lily's file, a small, once white house with peeling paint and an overgrown front yard. The mailbox hung crooked, stuffed with unopened letters. Mrs. Coggins knocked gently on the front door. After several minutes, it opened to reveal Martha, wearing the same clothes from yesterday, looking startled. "Oh, hello there. Are you... Do I know you?" Martha asked, squinting in confusion. "I'm Mrs. Coggins, Lily's teacher. I wanted to check on her after yesterday." "Lily, is she... Oh, yes, my granddaughter, she's..." Martha looked around helplessly. "She's somewhere. Come in, come in." The house that Mrs. Coggins entered was nothing like the organized home she'd imagined. Newspapers were scattered everywhere, dirty dishes piled high in the sink, and there was a peculiar smell she couldn't identify. But most concerning of all was the silence. "Where is Lily?" Mrs. Coggins asked gently. She's taking care of things. She's such a good helper," Martha said, sitting heavily on the couch. "Sometimes I forget what needs doing, but she remembers. She always remembers." From somewhere in the back of the house came a small voice. "Grandma, is someone here?" Lily appeared in the doorway, wearing the same clothes from school 2 days ago. Her hair was matted, and she was carrying a roll of paper towels and what looked like old rags. "Mrs. Coggins," Lily's face brightened, but then quickly became worried. "You're not here to take me away, are you? I've been very good. I've been cleaning up all my mistakes." "What mistakes, sweetheart?" Mrs. Coggins asked, kneeling down. Lily glanced nervously at Martha, who was staring out the window, lost in her own world. The little girl whispered, "I make messes sometimes, and Grandma forgets to help me clean them. But I learned how to do it myself. See?" She held up the rags proudly. Mrs. Coggins felt her heart breaking. "Lily, what kind of messes?" "I can't tell you. That it's my special secret, remember? If I tell, they'll know I'm not a good girl and they'll send me away like Mama." Martha suddenly turned around as if waking from a dream. "Oh, Lily takes such good care of things. She's so much better at remembering than I am. Sometimes I forget what day it is or if I fed her or—" Martha's voice trailed off. "Wait, who are you again?" "She's my teacher, Grandma. Mrs. Coggins from school," Lily said patiently, walking over to pat her grandmother's hand comfortingly. "School? Do you go to school?" Martha asked Lily with genuine surprise. "Mrs. Coggins," watched in horror as this 5-year-old child gently explained to her grandmother that yes, she went to school every day, and yes, Mrs. Coggins was her teacher, and no, Grandma didn't need to worry about anything because Lily would take care of everything. "I always take care of everything," Lily Sue repeated, looking at Mrs. Coggins with eyes that seemed far too old for her face. "Grandma taught me how to be independent. Right, Grandma?" Martha nodded absently. "Yes, independent. That's important. Because sometimes I can't remember how to help." As Mrs. Coggins prepared to leave, Lily grabbed her hand urgently. "You won't tell anyone about Grandma's forgetting, will you? And you won't tell about my cleaning up secrets? I promise I'm getting better at taking care of both of us." The teacher's throat felt tight as she realized the devastating truth. This precious 5-year-old wasn't just living with her grandmother. She was taking care of her grandmother. And whatever these mysterious messes and secrets were, Lily was handling them completely alone. But what exactly was this little girl cleaning up every day? And how long could she keep carrying this impossible burden? The answers would soon reveal a truth more heartbreaking than anyone could imagine. Back at school the next day, Mrs. Coggins couldn't stop thinking about what she'd witnessed at the Rosewood home. She watched Lily carefully as the little girl entered the classroom, wearing the same wrinkled clothes for the 4th day in a row. "Good morning, Lily," she said softly. "How are you feeling today, sweetheart?" "I'm okay, Mrs. Coggins," Lily replied, but her face was pale and she kept shifting uncomfortably from foot to foot. As the morning progressed, Mrs. Coggins noticed something alarming. During their usual bathroom break at 10 a.m., Lily remained seated at her desk. "Lily, don't you need to use the restroom?" Mrs. Coggins asked quietly. The little girl shook her head quickly. "No, thank you. I'm fine." An hour passed, then 2 hours. During lunch break, Mrs. Coggins again suggested that Lily visit the bathroom. "I don't need to go," Lily insisted, but she was now pressing her hands against her stomach and rocking slightly in her chair. By 2 p.m., Mrs. Coggins was deeply concerned. Lily had not used the bathroom in over 6 hours, and the child was clearly in distress. Her face was flushed. She was sweating despite the cool classroom, and she kept making small whimpering sounds. "Lily, honey, you really should use the restroom," Mrs. Coggins said, crouching beside her desk. "No," Lily said more forcefully than usual, tears forming in her eyes. "I can't. It will make the problem worse." "What problem, sweetheart?" Lily looked around the classroom frantically, making sure no other children could hear. "If I go to the bathroom here, it will hurt too much, and then I might make a mess and everyone will see that I'm not a good girl." Mrs. Coggins felt her heart skip a beat. "Lily, what kind of mess are you worried about?" "The kind that Grandma forgets to help me clean up," Lily whispered, fresh tears rolling down her cheeks. "The kind that makes me different from other kids. The kind that would make everyone not want to be my friend." By 3 p.m., Lily was trembling. Her breathing had become shallow and she was gripping the sides of her chair so tightly her knuckles were white. "Lily, you're scaring me. Please let me help you," Mrs. Coggins pleaded. "You can't help," Lily sobbed quietly. "Nobody can help. Grandma says this is just how some people are, and I have to learn to manage it by myself because she can't remember how to help me anymore." "Can't remember how to help you with what?" But before Lily could answer, something terrible happened. The little girl suddenly doubled over in pain, let out a small cry, and then a look of pure horror crossed her face. "Oh no," she whispered, looking down at herself. "Oh no, oh no, oh no. I tried so hard to hold it, but it happened anyway." Mrs. Coggins immediately noticed the unmistakable odor that she'd detected at the hospital and at Lily's home. Now she understood what it was, and her heart broke into a million pieces. "It's okay, sweetheart. Accidents happen to everyone, Mrs. Coggins said gently, but Lily was inconsolable. It's not an accident, Lily wailed quietly, trying not to let the other children hear. It happens all the time. That's why I have to wear special things under my clothes and why Grandma forgets to help me change them, and why I have to clean myself up, and why I smell funny, and why nobody should ever find out. The devastating truth began to dawn on Mrs. Coggins. This precious child had been suffering with some kind of medical condition that caused incontinence, and her grandmother's failing memory meant Lily was trying to manage it entirely on her own. Lily, how long has this been happening? Mrs. Coggins asked softly. Forever, Lily whispered. Since always. Grandma says it's my special challenge, and I have to be brave and not tell anyone because they wouldn't understand. As Mrs. Coggins gently helped Lily to the nurse's office, her mind raced with horrifying realizations. This 5-year-old had been living with a medical condition, managing it alone, hiding it from everyone, and believing it made her a bad girl. But what exactly was wrong with Lily, and how had this gone unnoticed for so long? The answers would soon reveal a medical mystery that had been hiding in plain sight. Mrs. Coggins gently led Lily to the nurse's office, her heart aching as she watched the little girl try to walk while hiding her distress. Nurse Peterson took one look at Lily's pale, tear-stained face and immediately understood something serious was happening. "Let's get you cleaned up, sweetheart," Nurse Peterson said kindly, but Lily stepped back in panic. "I have to do it myself," Lily insisted. "That's the rule, Grandma says big girls take care of their own special problems." Mrs. Coggins and Nurse Peterson exchanged concerned glances. This wasn't normal behavior for any 5-year-old, even one dealing with accidents. While Lily was in the bathroom attempting to clean herself up, Mrs. Coggins called Martha. The phone rang 15 times before a confused voice answered. "Hello, who is this?" "Mrs. Rosewood. This is Mrs. Coggins, Lily's teacher. I need to speak with you about Lily." "Lily? Oh yes, my granddaughter. Is she? Where is she supposed to be right now?" Mrs. Coggins felt a sinking feeling. "She's at school, Mrs. Rosewood. She's been having some difficulties today, and I think we need to discuss." "Difficulties?" Martha's voice became panicked. "Is it about her special problem? Oh no, has someone found out? She promised me she could handle it herself." "Mrs. Rosewood, what special problem?" There was a long silence, then Martha's voice became very small. I can't remember if I'm supposed to tell or not tell. Sometimes my brain gets so fuzzy. Lily usually reminds me what I'm supposed to remember. Can you come to the school? I think we need to talk." An hour later, Martha arrived looking disheveled and confused. She'd put her sweater on inside out and was carrying a purse filled with random household items, a wooden spoon, some batteries, and old grocery receipts. Mrs. Coggins gently guided her to a private conference room where Lily was sitting quietly, having changed into spare clothes from the nurse's emergency supply. "Grandma, you came," Lily said, running to hug Martha. "But remember, we can't talk about my special situation. It's our family secret." Martha looked around the room blankly. "I'm sorry. Where are we again?" "We're at my school." "Grandma, Mrs. Coggins wants to help us." Mrs. Coggins sat down carefully. "Mrs. Rosewood, I'm concerned about Lily. She seems to be dealing with some kind of medical issue that she's been trying to handle alone." Martha's eyes filled with tears. "I try to help her, I really do. But sometimes I wake up and I can't remember what day it is, or if I've fed her breakfast, or—" She looked at Lily apologetically. "Or how to help her with her cleaning up." "What does she need help cleaning up?" Mrs. Coggins asked gently. "Grandma gets confused," Lily said protectively. "It's not her fault. She used to remember how to help me with my accidents, but now her brain is tired. So I learned to take care of it myself." Martha nodded sadly. "She's such a good girl. She never complains, even when I forget to buy the special supplies, or when I forget to help her change her protective things. Sometimes I find her trying to wash them in the sink by herself." Mrs. Coggins felt her throat tighten. "Mrs. Rosewood, how long has Lily been having these accidents?" "Oh, they're not accidents," Martha said matter-of-factly. "The doctor said—" "When was that? Last year? 2 years ago? He said something about her insides not working right. But then my Jackson went away and Sarah disappeared, and I couldn't remember all the medical words and—" "Grandma forgets a lot now," Lily said simply. "But I remember. I remember to clean up and to hide the smell and to not tell anyone because they might not understand that I can't help it." The full picture was becoming devastatingly clear. Lily had some kind of medical condition causing incontinence. Her grandmother's memory was failing, and this precious 5-year-old had been trying to manage a complex medical situation entirely on her own. "Mrs. Rosewood," Mrs. Coggins said carefully, "when was the last time Lily saw a doctor?" Martha stared blankly, then looked at Lily. "Sweetheart, when did we see the nice doctor man?" "I don't know, Grandma. You usually remember those things." But clearly, Martha wasn't remembering anything anymore. And Lily had been suffering in silence, believing this was just her burden to bear. What medical condition could cause such problems in a young child? And how much longer could Lily keep this devastating secret? That evening, Mrs. Coggins couldn't stop thinking about Lily and Martha. The image of a 5-year-old trying to manage such a complex situation alone haunted her. She made a decision that would change everything. She was going to help, whether it was officially her responsibility or not. The next morning, she stopped at the grocery store before school and filled her cart with items she hoped might help: children's vitamins, healthy snacks, cleaning supplies, and some basic hygiene products. Then she drove to the Rosewood house. Martha answered the door wearing the same clothes from yesterday, looking surprised to see anyone. "Oh, you're the..." Martha struggled to remember. "I'm Mrs. Coggins, Lily's teacher. I brought some things that might help." As they entered the house, Mrs. Coggins heard Lily's voice from the bathroom. "Just a minute, Grandma. I'm almost done cleaning up." When Lily emerged, her face lit up with genuine joy, the first real smile Mrs. Coggins had seen from her in weeks. "Mrs. Coggins, you came to visit us at home. I brought some things I thought you and Grandma might need," Mrs. Coggins said, unpacking the groceries. Lily watched in amazement as Mrs. Coggins stocked their nearly empty refrigerator and filled the bare cupboards. "Is this for us, really?" "Of course, sweetheart." For the first time, Martha seemed to focus clearly. "That's very kind, but we don't have money to pay you back right now. I keep forgetting where I put my purse, and the bills are all mixed up." "This is a gift," Mrs. Coggins assured her. "Lily is special to me." Over the next few days, Mrs. Coggins established a routine. She would stop by before school to check on them, sometimes bringing breakfast, sometimes just making sure Lily had clean clothes. She noticed immediate changes in Lily. The little girl seemed lighter, more hopeful. At school, Lily began participating in class discussions for the first time. She even made a friend, a sweet girl named Emma Chen, who didn't seem to notice when Lily occasionally had to step away to take care of something. "Mrs. Coggins," Lily said one afternoon, "Emma invited me to her house for a play date, but I told her I couldn't because," she whispered, "because of my special problem. What if it happens while I'm there? What if we talk to Emma's mom about it? Sometimes other people are more understanding than we think." Lily looked, shocked. "You mean, tell someone? But Grandma says it's a secret." Mrs. Coggins sat down beside her. "Lily, some secrets are meant to protect us, but some secrets make us feel alone and scared. What if there are people who could help make your special problem easier to handle? You really think so?" That evening, Mrs. Coggins spoke with Dr. Lisa Chen, Emma's mother, who happened to be a pediatrician. When she carefully explained Lily's situation, Dr. Chen became very concerned. "Mrs. Coggins, what you're describing sounds like it could be a serious medical condition. Has this child seen a doctor recently? Her grandmother can't remember when they last had medical care. This could be something treatable. Would they allow me to examine her? No charge, of course." The next day, Mrs. Coggins gently approached Martha and Lily with the idea. "A doctor wants to see me?" Lily asked. Nervously, But what if she finds out I'm not normal? Sweetheart, Mrs. Coggins said softly, what if she finds out there's a way to help you feel better? Martha, in one of her clearer moments, took Lily's hand. Maybe we should try. I used to know how to take care of you, but now… Tears filled her eyes. Now I can't remember how to help my own granddaughter. It's okay, Grandma, Lily said, patting Martha's hand comfortingly. If Mrs. Coggins thinks it's safe, maybe we can trust the doctor lady. For the first time in months, there was a glimmer of hope in Lily's eyes. But what would Dr. Chen discover? And could modern medicine really help solve Lily's mysterious condition? The answers would soon reveal possibilities that none of them had dared to dream. Dr. Lisa Chen's office felt warm and welcoming, with colorful murals on the walls and toys scattered around the waiting room. But Lily sat rigidly in her chair, clutching Mrs. Coggins' hand tightly. I've changed my mind, Lily whispered. What if she says I'm broken and can't be fixed? What if she says you can be helped? Mrs. Coggins replied gently. Martha sat nearby, looking confused about why they were there, occasionally asking Mrs. Coggins the same questions she'd asked 10 minutes earlier. When Dr. Chen emerged, she knelt down to Lily's level with a warm smile. Hi there, Lily. I'm Emma's mom, remember? She talks about you all the time. She does? Lily's eyes widened with surprise. She says, you're very kind and that you always help other kids when they're sad. Dr. Chen spent nearly an hour just talking with Lily, not about medical things, but about school, about Emma, about her favorite colors. Slowly, Lily began to relax. Lily, Dr. Chen said eventually, Mrs. Coggins told me you sometimes have tummy troubles. Can you tell me about that? Lily looked nervously at Mrs. Coggins, then at Martha, who was staring out the window. I have a special problem, but I'm not supposed to talk about it. What if I told you that I help lots of children with special problems and there's nothing you could tell me that would make me think you're not a wonderful little girl? For the first time in months, Lily began to open up. She told Dr. Chen about the constant pain in her tummy, about how she couldn't control when she needed the bathroom, about the rashes and soreness she developed from trying to clean herself. Dr. Chen listened carefully, asking gentle questions. How long has this been happening, sweetie? Forever, Lily said simply. Since I was a little kid. But you are still a little kid, Dr. Chen said softly, and Mrs. Coggins felt tears prick her eyes. Martha suddenly focused on the conversation. Oh yes, she's always had troubles. The doctor said, when was that? He said something about her insides being different. But then everything got so confusing and I couldn't remember. Dr. Chen turned to Martha kindly. Mrs. Rosewood, do you remember which doctor you saw? Or which hospital? Martha looked panicked. I used to write everything down, but I can't find my notebook. Lily, where did I put my important notebook? I don't know, Grandma. You ask me that every day, but I can't remember either. Dr. Chen exchanged a meaningful look. With Mrs. Coggins, it was becoming clear that Martha's memory issues were more serious than anyone had realized. Lily, Dr. Chen said gently, would it be okay if I did a very gentle examination? Just to see if I can figure out how to help your tummy feel better? Lily hesitated. Will it hurt? No, sweetheart. I promise. The examination was brief and careful. Dr. Chen's expression grew more concerned as she worked, but she kept her voice calm and reassuring for Lily. Afterward, while Lily played with toys in the corner, Dr. Chen spoke quietly with Mrs. Coggins and Martha. I believe Lily has a condition that affects her digestive system and bladder control, she explained. It's something she was likely born with, but it's definitely treatable. However, it appears to have been untreated for years, which has led to complications. What kind of complications? Mrs. Coggins asked. Infections, skin irritation, and a lot of unnecessary pain. This poor child has been suffering when she didn't have to. Martha began crying. I tried to take care of her. I really did. But I keep forgetting things, and I couldn't remember what the other doctor said, and it's not your fault, not your… Dr. Chen said kindly, but we need to get Lily treatment right away. Treatment? Lily looked up from her toys, hope and fear warring in her expression. Yes, sweetheart. Treatment that could make your tummy feel much better. But as promising as this sounded, Mrs. Coggins couldn't help wondering how much damage had already been done. And with Martha's condition clearly worsening, who would ensure Lily got the ongoing care she needed? The path forward was becoming clearer, but the challenges were far from over. Dr. Chen scheduled urgent tests for Lily at the Children's Hospital. As they sat in the waiting room 3 days later, Lily clutched her worn, stuffed rabbit and asked the same question for the 10th time. What if the tests show I'm too broken to fix? Mrs. Coggins squeezed her hand. What if they show exactly how to help you feel better? Martha sat nearby, more confused than ever. She kept asking where they were and why Lily needed tests, forgetting the answer as soon as it was given. Dr. Rodriguez, the specialist Dr. Chen had recommended, emerged with a folder full of test results. His expression was serious but kind. I have good news and challenging news, he told them in his office. The good news is that Lily has a condition called neurogenic bladder with bowel dysfunction. It's a condition she was born with that affects how her body processes waste. Is that why it hurts so much? Lily asked quietly. Yes, sweetheart, your body has been working extra and hard to do something that's difficult for it. But here's the really good news. We can help make it much easier. Mrs. Coggins felt hope rising in her chest. How? With proper medication, dietary changes, and a simple medical routine, Lily can live a completely normal life. No more constant pain. No more accidents she can't control. Lily's eyes grew wide. Really? I could be like other kids? You are like other kids, Dr. Rodriguez said firmly. You just need some extra help with one thing, like how some kids need glasses to see clearly. But then came the challenging news. The concern is that this condition has gone untreated for years. Lily has developed secondary infections and complications that need immediate attention. What does that mean? Mrs. Coggins asked. It means she's been in much more pain than she needed to be, and she's developed some problems from trying to manage this condition without proper medical care. Martha suddenly looked alert. I tried to help her. I took her to a doctor when she was little. He gave us papers and instructions, but then… Her voice trailed off, confusion returning to her eyes. Grandma, you did help me, Lily said loyally. You taught me how to clean up and how to be brave. Dr. Rodriguez reviewed Lily's medical history that he'd managed to piece together. It appears Lily was diagnosed as a toddler, but the family lost connection with medical care. This is more common than you'd think, especially in rural areas with limited resources. So this whole time, Mrs. Coggins began, this whole time Lily has been suffering from treatable medical conditions. The incontinence, the pain, even the frequent infections. All of these could have been prevented with proper treatment. But I thought I was just different. Lily said quietly, I thought some kids were just made wrong. Oh, sweetheart, Dr. Rodriguez said gently. You weren't made wrong. Your body just works differently. And now we know exactly how to help it work better. He explained the treatment plan. Medication to help Lily's system function properly, special dietary guidelines, and a simple daily routine that would prevent future complications. How long will it take? Mrs. Coggins asked. We should see improvement within weeks, and with proper ongoing care, Lily can live completely normally. As they left the hospital, Lily was unusually quiet. Finally, she looked up at Mrs. Coggins with tears in her eyes. Does this mean all this time I was keeping a secret about something that wasn't really my fault? Mrs. Coggins felt her heart break and heal at the same time. Yes, sweetheart, it was never your fault. But even as hope bloomed, a new worry emerged. Martha's confusion was getting worse each day. Even with Lily's medical issues solved, who would ensure a 5-year-old took her medication consistently and followed her treatment plan? The medical mystery was solved, but the family crisis was just beginning. 2 weeks into Lily's treatment, Mrs. Coggins noticed remarkable changes. The little girl was more alert in class, participated in activities, and most importantly, seemed to be in much less pain. But there was still a problem. ensuring she took her medication and followed her treatment plan at home. During lunch break, Emma Chen approached Mrs. Coggins with a worried expression. "Mrs. Coggins, I'm scared about Lily," Emma said quietly. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" "Yesterday at recess, she told me her grandma forgot to give her the special medicine again, and she didn't want to bother her about it because Grandma was having a foggy brain day. Is that normal?" Mrs. Coggins felt her heart sink. This was exactly what she'd been afraid of. That afternoon, she called Dr. Lisa Chen, Emma's mother, who had been following Lily's case with growing concern. "I was hoping you'd call, Doctor," Chen said immediately. "Emma has been talking about Lily constantly. She's worried because Lily mentioned that sometimes there's no food in the house, and that her grandma sometimes forgets where they are when they're walking to the store." "It's worse than I thought," Mrs. Coggins admitted. "Mrs. Coggins, I've been thinking, what if I offered to help coordinate Lily's medical care? As a pediatrician, I could monitor her progress, and Emma is so fond of her. That would be wonderful. But the real problem is daily care. Martha's condition is deteriorating rapidly." Dr. Chen was quiet for a moment. "What if we approach this differently? What if instead of waiting for a crisis, we created a support system around this family?" That evening, Dr. Chen visited the Rosewood house with Emma and Mrs. Coggins. Martha answered the door wearing mismatched clothes and seeming surprised that people were visiting. "Oh, hello, do I know you?" Martha asked. "Grandma, this is Emma's mama," Lily explained patiently. "She's the doctor who's helping me get better." As they sat in the living room, Dr. Chen gently assessed the situation. Martha struggled to remember basic information. What day it was, whether Lily had eaten lunch, where she'd put the medication. "Mrs. Rosewood," Dr. Chen said kindly, "I can see how much you love Lily. It must be frustrating when your memory makes it hard to take care of her the way you want to." Martha's eyes filled with tears. "I try so hard, but everything gets confused in my head. Sometimes I wake up and I don't remember if I've fed her breakfast. Yesterday, I couldn't remember how to work the stove." Meanwhile, Lily and Emma were playing quietly in the corner. Mrs. Coggins noticed how naturally Emma adapted to Lily's needs, helping her organize her medication pills by color, not asking questions when Lily needed to step away briefly. "Lily," Dr. Chen said gently, "how would you feel if Emma's family helped you with some things, like making sure you take your medicine every day?" Lily looked hopeful but worried. "Would that mean I have to leave Grandma?" "No, sweetheart. It would mean you'd have more people who care about you, but you'd still live with Grandma." Emma suddenly spoke up. "Mommy, could Lily come to our house after school sometimes? She could do homework with me and take her medicine, and then Mrs. Coggins could bring her home." Dr. Chen and Mrs. Coggins exchanged glances. It wasn't a permanent solution, but it could provide the daily structure Lily desperately needed. "Would you like that, Lily?" Mrs. Coggins asked. For the first time in weeks, Lily's face broke into a genuine smile. "Really? I could have? A friend to help me?" Martha looked relieved. "That sounds wonderful. I worry so much about forgetting important things for her." As they made plans for this new arrangement, Mrs. Coggins felt cautiously optimistic. Maybe, with the right support system, they could make this work. But deep down, she wondered, how long could they maintain this delicate balance? And what would happen when Martha's condition inevitably worsened? Still, for tonight, watching Lily laugh with Emma while Martha smiled peacefully, it felt like hope was possible. The new routine with the Chen family had been working beautifully for 3 weeks. Lily was thriving. Her medication was taken consistently. She was eating regular meals, and for the first time she was acting like a normal 5-year-old. But Mrs. Coggins knew they were living on borrowed time. One Thursday evening, as she drove Lily home from the Chen house, the little girl was unusually quiet. "What's on your mind, sweetheart?" Mrs. Coggins asked. "Mrs. Coggins, why didn't my mama want to take care of me like Emma's mama takes care of Emma?" The question hit Mrs. Coggins like a physical blow. She pulled over to a quiet street and turned to face Lily. "What makes you ask that, honey?" "Grandma sometimes talks about Mama when she's having foggy days. She says Mama couldn't handle taking care of someone with special needs, and that's why she left. Does that mean it's my fault Mama went away? Mrs. Coggins felt tears burning her eyes. This precious child had been carrying so much guilt that wasn't hers to carry. Lily, listen to me very carefully. Your Mama leaving had nothing to do with you or your medical condition. Sometimes adults make choices that have nothing to do with their children. But what if I'm too much trouble? What if that's why Daddy had to go away too? That evening, Mrs. Coggins made a decision that had been weighing on her heart for weeks. She sat down at her kitchen table and wrote a letter she never thought she'd write, to the State Social Services Department. But this wasn't a letter asking them to remove Lily from her home. Instead, it was a letter requesting support services for Martha, so she could continue caring for her granddaughter with proper help. The next day, she shared something with Lily that she'd never shared with anyone. Lily, I want to tell you a story about a little girl I once knew, Mrs. Coggins said as they sat in her classroom after school. What kind of story? A story about a little girl whose parents were too busy with their own problems to take good care of her. This little girl often went to school hungry, wearing dirty clothes and feeling like nobody really saw her. Lily listened intently. What happened to the little girl? Well, there was a teacher who noticed her. This teacher started bringing extra snacks, helping her with homework, and most importantly, she helped the little girl understand that she was valuable and worth caring about. Did the little girl's life get better? Mrs. Coggins smiled softly. That little girl grew up to become a teacher herself, because she never forgot how important it was for at least one adult to truly see and care about a child. Lily's eyes widened. The little girl was you, wasn't it? Yes, sweetheart. It was me. Is that why you take such good care of me? Partly, but mostly I take care of you because you're an amazing little girl who deserves to be loved and protected. Lily was quiet for a long moment. Mrs. Coggins, what's going to happen to me and Grandma? I know her brain is getting more confused. Sometimes she doesn't remember my name. It was the question Mrs. Coggins had been dreading, but also the one that needed to be answered honestly. I don't know exactly what will happen, Lily, but I do know this. We're going to make sure you're safe and loved no matter what. Even if Grandma can't take care of me anymore? Even then. And you won't let them send me away to people who don't understand about my special medicine and my condition. Mrs. Coggins took Lily's small hands in hers. Lily, I promise you this. I will never let you face anything alone. Again, whatever happens, you'll have people who love you and understand exactly what you need. As they sat together in the quiet classroom, Mrs. Coggins realized that somewhere along the way, this had stopped being about helping a student and had become about saving a child who had captured her heart completely. But with Martha's condition worsening daily, how much time did they have left to figure out a permanent solution? It happened on a cold Monday morning in November. Mrs. Coggins was preparing her classroom when her phone rang. Dr. Chen's voice was tense with worry. Mrs. Coggins, we have a problem. Lily never arrived at our house yesterday evening after you dropped her off. When I called to check, no one answered the phone. Mrs. Coggins felt her blood turn to ice. I dropped her off at 6 p.m. like always. Martha answered the door. I drove by the house this morning. The lights are on, but no one's answering the door, and I can see Lily's backpack on the front porch. Within minutes, Mrs. Coggins was racing toward the Rosewood house, her heart pounding with fear. She found Dr. Chen already there with Emma, both looking worried. They knocked repeatedly, before hearing a faint voice from inside. Go away, we're not supposed to open the door for strangers. Lily, it's Mrs. Coggins. Open the door, sweetheart. When the door finally opened, the sight that greeted them broke their hearts. Lily stood there in pajamas she'd clearly worn for days, her hair uncombed, looking exhausted and scared. Mrs. Coggins, I'm so glad you're here. Lily threw herself into her teacher's arms. Something's wrong with Grandma. She's been sleeping for 2 days, and when she wakes up, she doesn't know who I am. They found Martha in her bedroom, confused and disoriented. When she saw them, she became agitated. Who are these people? Why are strangers in my house? Where's my son Jackson? Grandma, it's me, Lily, the little girl said gently. but Martha looked at her with no recognition at all. "I don't know any Lily. Jackson, where's Jackson?" Dr. Chen quickly assessed Martha's condition while Mrs. Coggins focused on Lily. "Sweetheart, how long has Grandma been like this?" "Since Saturday night. She got really confused and thought I was my mama. She got upset and said Mama wasn't supposed to be here. Then she went to bed and mostly stayed there." "What have you been eating?" Lily looked embarrassed. "I found some crackers and peanut butter, and I've been drinking water from the tap. I know how to take care of myself." Mrs. Coggins felt her heart breaking. This 5-year-old had been alone and scared for 2 days, taking care of herself while her grandmother lost touch with reality. Dr. Chen emerged from the bedroom. "Martha needs immediate medical attention. This appears to be a significant decline in her condition. We need to call an ambulance." "No," Lily cried out. "If you take Grandma to the hospital, they'll take me away. I heard the grown-ups at school talking about kids who get taken away when their families can't take care of them." Mrs. Coggins knelt down to Lily's level. "Lily, remember what I promised you, that you'd never face anything alone. You remember?" "I remember. And right now, Grandma needs doctors to help her brain, just like you needed doctors to help your tummy. But where will I go? I don't want to live with strangers who don't know about my medicine or my special condition." Dr. Chen and Mrs. Coggins exchanged a meaningful look. This was the moment they'd all been dreading, but also the moment that would determine Lily's future. "Lily," Mrs. Coggins said carefully, "what if you didn't have to live with strangers? What if you could live with someone who already knows all about your medicine and your condition and loves you very much?" Lily's eyes filled with hope and fear. "You mean you would want me?" "Oh, sweetheart, I would be honored to take care of you." But even as Mrs. Coggins made this promise, she wondered, could she really provide the stable, loving home this precious child deserved? And what would it take to make this happen legally? The next few hours would change everything for both of them. The next week passed in a whirlwind of meetings, paperwork, and difficult decisions. Martha had been admitted to a specialized memory care facility where she could receive proper treatment for her advancing dementia. During her clearest moments, she made one request that brought everyone to tears. "Please," she told Mrs. Coggins during a lucid moment, "promise me Lily will know I love her. I may forget her name, but I'll never forget how much she means to me." Meanwhile, Lily was staying temporarily with the Chen family while social services processed Mrs. Coggins' emergency foster care application. The little girl was struggling with a mixture of emotions: relief that her secret was finally out, sadness about her grandmother's condition, and nervous excitement about the possibility of living with Mrs. Coggins. "Emma," Lily confided to her new best friend, "what if Mrs. Coggins changes her mind when she realizes how much work I am? What if taking care of me is too hard? My mama says Mrs. Coggins has been taking care of you in her heart for a long time already." Emma replied wisely. 3 days later, Mrs. Coggins received the call she'd been waiting for. The temporary custody arrangement had been approved. Lily could come home with her that very afternoon. But as Mrs. Coggins prepared her spare bedroom, hanging cheerful curtains, arranging stuffed animals, and setting up a special shelf for Lily's medications, she felt overwhelmed by the magnitude of what she was undertaking. At 62, was she really ready to become a mother to a 5-year-old with special medical needs? She'd never had children of her own, having dedicated her entire life to teaching. What if she wasn't enough? Her doubts melted away the moment Lily walked into her house, carrying her few possessions in a paper bag and clutching her worn stuffed rabbit. "Is this really my room?" Lily asked in wonder, staring at the cozy bedroom Mrs. Coggins had prepared. "This is really your room, sweetheart." Lily ran her small hands over the soft bedspread, then turned to Mrs. Coggins with tears in her eyes. "Nobody ever made me a special room before." That first night, as Mrs. Coggins tucked Lily into bed, the little girl asked the question that had been weighing on her mind. "Mrs. Coggins, when people adopt kids in the movies, they always say, 'I love you.' Do you think you could ever love me like that?" Mrs. Coggins sat on the edge of the bed and smoothed Lily's blonde hair. Lily, I already do love you like that. I have from the moment you first hid under your desk in my classroom. Really? Really? And you know what? I think you saved me, just as much as I saved you. How did I save you? You reminded me that taking care of someone you love isn't work, it's joy. Over the next several days, they established routines that worked for both of them. Morning medication with breakfast, special snacks for school, quiet homework time in the afternoons, and bedtime stories that often featured brave little girls who overcame big challenges. Dr. Chen monitored Lily's medical progress and was amazed by the improvement. With consistent care and proper nutrition, her body is healing remarkably well. The chronic pain is almost gone and her condition is well controlled. But the most remarkable change was in Lily's spirit. She laughed freely now, asked questions without fear, and had begun talking about when I grow up, instead of just surviving each day. One evening, as they visited Martha at the care facility, something beautiful happened. Though Martha didn't remember Lily's name, she smiled when she saw her and said, "You're such a pretty little girl. Someone must love you very much." "Yes," Lily replied simply. "I'm very loved." As they drove home, Lily asked, "Mrs. Coggins, do you think we could visit Grandma every week? Even if she doesn't remember me?" "Of course, sweetheart. Love doesn't depend on memory." But even as their new life together began to flourish, Mrs. Coggins knew one final step remained. How could she make this arrangement permanent? And what surprises might that journey hold? 6 months had passed since Lily moved in with Mrs. Coggins, and their life together had found a beautiful rhythm. But on a sunny Saturday morning in May, everything changed with a single phone call. "Mrs. Coggins?" The voice belonged to social worker Janet Martinez. "I have some unexpected news about Lily's case. Could you come to my office this afternoon? And please bring Lily with you." Mrs. Coggins felt her stomach drop. "Is there a problem with the adoption paperwork? Just, please come in. There's something we need to discuss." As they sat in the social services office that afternoon, Lily clutched Mrs. Coggins's hand nervously. She'd grown so much in the past months. Her cheeks were rosy with health, her hair shiny and well cared for, and most importantly, her eyes sparkled with the confidence of a child who knew she was loved. Janet Martinez spread several documents across her desk. "Mrs. Coggins, we've been contacted by someone regarding Lily's case." "Who?" Mrs. Coggins felt protective instincts surge through her. "Jackson Rosewood, Lily's father." Lily's grip on Mrs. Coggins' hand tightened. "My daddy? He's being released from prison next month. He's completed his sentence." And Janet paused, looking at her papers. "He's requesting to regain custody of his daughter." The room felt like it was spinning. Mrs. Coggins had known this was always a possibility, but after so many months, she'd begun to hope. "But he doesn't know about my special condition," Lily whispered. "He doesn't know about my medicine or my doctor visits or anything." Janet nodded sympathetically. "That's true. However, the law typically favors reuniting children with their biological parents when possible." "What does this mean for us?" Mrs. Coggins asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "It means we need to meet with Mr. Rosewood when he's released. He needs to understand Lily's medical needs and the level of care she requires." That evening, as Mrs. Coggins helped Lily with her bedtime routine, carefully organizing her medications and reading their favorite story, the little girl asked the question that had been haunting them both. "If my daddy takes me away, will I still get to see you?" Mrs. Coggins fought back tears. "I don't know, sweetheart. But whatever happens, you need to know that these have been the most wonderful months of my entire life." "Mine too," Lily said quietly. "Mrs. Coggins, what if my daddy is nice but doesn't know how to take care of someone like me? What if he gets frustrated with my doctor appointments and special food and medicine schedule?" It was a heartbreaking question from a child who had learned too early that love and capability weren't always the same thing. 2 weeks later, Jackson Rosewood sat across from them in Janet's office. He was a thin man in his early 30s, wearing clothes that didn't quite fit, looking nervous and overwhelmed. "Lily," he said softly, his voice breaking, You're so much bigger than... When I had to go away. Lily studied her father carefully. Hi, Daddy. Do you remember that I have special medical problems? Jackson looked confused. Medical problems? What kind of medical problems? For the next hour, Dr. Chen and Mrs. Coggins explained Lily's condition, her treatment plan, her need for consistent medical care, and the complexity of managing her daily routine. Jackson's face grew paler with each detail. Finally, he spoke. I had no idea it was so complicated. I thought when I got out, we'd just pick up where we left off. Daddy, Lily said gently, it's okay if you need time to learn about taking care of me. Mrs. Coggins had to learn too. Jackson looked at Mrs. Coggins with something like awe. You've been doing all of this every single day? It's been my privilege, Mrs. Coggins replied honestly. What Jackson said next would change everything. For all of them. Jackson Rosewood sat in silence for what felt like an eternity, looking between his daughter and the woman who had saved her life. Finally, he spoke with tears in his eyes. Mrs. Coggins, I went to prison because I made terrible choices trying to get money for my family. I thought I was being a good father, but I was wrong about everything. He turned to Lily. Sweetheart, I love you more than anything in this world, but I can see that you're happy and healthy in a way you never were when you lived with us. Lily reached across the table and took her father's hand. Daddy, Mrs. Coggins taught me that love means wanting what's best for someone, even when it's hard. Jackson smiled through his tears. She sounds like a very wise lady. The wisest, Lily agreed. Jackson took a deep breath and looked directly at Mrs. Coggins. I have a question for you. Would you be willing to adopt Lily officially with my full blessing? And would you let me be part of her life? I want to learn how to be the father she deserves, even if I can't be her full-time caregiver. Mrs. Coggins felt her heart stop and restart. Jackson, are you sure? I've never been more sure. If anything, my daughter is thriving because of you. She's healthy, happy, and loved. I can't give her what you can give her, but maybe together, we can give her everything. Janet Martinez smiled for the first time in the meeting. This is actually an ideal situation. Open adoption with cooperative. Co-parenting. 6 months later, on a perfect autumn day, Mrs. Coggins stood in a courthouse wearing her best dress, with Lily beside her in a yellow sundress that matched the one she'd worn on her first day of school over a year ago. But this Lily was transformed. Confident, healthy, and radiant. With joy. Do you, Margaret Coggins, promise to love, protect, and care for Lily Rose Coggins as your own daughter? I do, Mrs. Coggins said, her voice strong despite her tears. And do you, Lily, understand that Mrs. Coggins is now officially your mama forever? Yes, Lily practically shouted, making the entire courtroom chuckle. In the front row sat Jackson, who had found steady work and his own apartment. He'd also been visiting Martha every week, bringing Lily along when she was ready. Though Martha rarely recognized them anymore, she always smiled when she heard Lily's laugh. As they walked out of the courthouse, Lily tugged on her new mother's hand. Mama Margaret, do you think we could go visit Grandma Martha and tell her about today? Of course, sweetheart. At the memory care facility, they found Martha in the garden looking peaceful in the afternoon sun, though she didn't remember their names when Lily sat beside her and said, Grandma, I wanted you to know that I have a forever family now, and I'm very happy. Martha smiled and patted her hand. That's wonderful, dear. Every little girl should have people who love her. That evening, as Mrs. Coggins, now officially Mama Margaret, tucked Lily into bed, the little girl asked one final question. Mama Margaret, do you think my story has a happy ending now? Oh, my darling girl, Margaret said, kissing her forehead. I think your story is just beginning, and it's going to be the most beautiful story ever told. As Lily drifted off to sleep, Margaret sat by her bedside and marveled at the journey that had brought them together. A teacher nearing retirement had found her greatest purpose. A little girl carrying impossible secrets had found her voice. And a family torn apart by circumstances had found a new way to love each other. Sometimes the most broken things, when mended with love, become the strongest of all.